Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Soul Goals. I am Dawn, and today I get to talk to my mother-in-law, my 91-year-old young mother-in-law, Kathleen. Kathleen, I'm so glad we figured all of this out. And through the help of your daughter, Katie, who we're not supposed to say anything bad about, by the way.
That's right.
No,
Oh,
we're not.
she'd get us, but good.
Through the help of Katie, we figured out our video and our computer issues, and we're covered. We are good to go. I wanted to have you on this podcast because I feel like you're a very inspirational person in our family. Obviously, you're the head of our family, the head of all things Cunningham, basically. But the thing that I think makes you so special is all of the things that you've gone through to get to the point where you are 91 years young now. And I love the stories that you have when you sit and you talk to my girls and the other nieces and nephews and your grandchildren about your life, because some of it is just so hard for all of us to imagine because it was such a different day and age. And I love getting to share that information with other people so that they are aware that, you know, there's more to the sum of our parts, basically, if that makes any sense. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Kathleen Cunningham. Yes, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
You're
Glad to be here.
you're very welcome. So,
Surprised to be here, actually.
okay, so that was gonna be, like, just a candid question I was gonna ask you, like, what did you think when I said, "I wanna do this podcast with you? I wanted to talk to you and do, like, an interview." Were you like, "I'm interested to know."
Well, I'm a little shy at times, believe it or not.
Okay.
And I thought, do I want to do that? And I thought, yeah, I want to do that.
Yes, you do. Yes, shy schmy. I think the things that you have done in your life, by the end of this podcast and our conversation, people will not look at this and go, "Oh, she's shy." No, on the contrary, she
Yeah.
has rose up. So I want to start because I think one of the things, and all of your stories and the things that you've gone through are so intriguing. But I think the thing for me personally is the very beginning of your life because you had multiple brothers and your mother passed away when you were very, very little. And that changed the trajectory of your life. How old were you when your mother passed away?
Two. I was two in March. She died in June.
Okay, so you're just a little over age 2. Your mother passes away. You have older brothers, correct?
7.
Which is crazy. So there's 8 of you altogether.
And then I had a sister,
Okay. And she was where
20
did you
years, 20 years older than me.
Wow.
Mhm.
A huge, huge range. So
Right.
there were not 7 of you, there were 8. There were how many of you altogether?
9 with
9.
counting me. 9.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your brothers. After your mother passed away, what happened in your household?
The oldest one was already married and had a child, which was a year older than I, and
Oh,
he
wow.
had one a year younger than I. And then the next one was married, but he had children. My sister was next, and then I had a brother,
Okay.
and then I had all the brothers down to me. I was the baby,
Mhm.
and all these brothers, 4 of them went to orphanages. 2 of them went to TIS at the time, and 2 went to Baptist Orphanage.
Okay.
But my mother made my sister promise before she died that she wouldn't let me go because I was a little girl who didn't need to be in the orphanage.
Oh, wow.
So when my sister she tried it, but it didn't work out. Her husband said, I won't say what he said, but he
Okay.
said
Oh,
he
no.
didn't want any children of his own, and he sure as blankety blank wasn't raising somebody else's
Oh,
kid.
no.
So
Okay.
there I was. I went, first of all, there was a little lady named Miss Baker,
Mhm.
and she took me, but she was old, old. She was 80 something years old, and they lived out at Radnor Lake, and I lived on Radnor Lake for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then I've never told the girls that. Uh,
Yeah.
and then after that, they brought me back to Papa, who was
Mhm.
my biological father,
Okay.
and he then Emma comes and gets me and takes me, which Emma was my sister,
Okay.
and she took me up, and she had a duplex that her husband had inherited, and so they rented half of it out. The
Mhm.
lady who lived in one half watched me for oh several weeks,
Okay.
but they had a daughter my age, which we were friends till she almost till she died. But
Mhm.
the they would take me to the river. I was terrified of water, and
And this is all happening, like, within a couple of months of your mother passing away?
yeah, yeah. This was
So
before.
but let me back up just a minute because your biological father was still around. So, I'm interested to know why he didn't just take you.
He wasn't a very nice person.
Okay.
But anyway, back to this. If
So
you
go
want
back to your sister.
so anyway, the babysitter in the building there, she didn't want to deal with it. She worked every day too,
Mhm.
so they didn't have anywhere. So she brings me back to Papa, back
Okay.
over to the house where he had never done anything with it. He hadn't paid the notes on the house,
Oh,
nothing. He
wow.
wasn't working, and we didn't have a lot of food. And he
Mhm.
would turn me out early every morning in the yard, and he would go back to bed.
So,
So
turn you out. When you say that, you mean set you
outside,
outside? Put you
mhm,
outside? And
outside,
you're 2.5 years old.
right. I
Okay.
remember sitting in the middle of the street, and this is Orlando, which is still there. It's not a very big street, but anyway, I
Mhm.
remember sitting out there, and I would play with the rocks, and I'd throw the rocks up, and the cars would go whizzing by.
Oh, wow.
And I remember that. And people say a 2-year-old don't remember that. I said traumatic things you remember.
Yeah.
You do remember.
Yeah.
So I stayed in there, and the next door neighbors named the Wattses.
Mhm.
She would come out and get me out of the street, take me in, give me a bath, give me a good meal,
Mhm.
and then put me back in the yard for him,
Okay.
for my father.
Yeah.
So anyway, he he never went to work while I was around. So
Right.
the Wattses came over. They had lost a little boy. He had died. They had two
Mm.
daughters, one 17, one 14, and this little boy had died.
Right.
And they were really in a bad place. And
Yeah.
well, I think I just took his place. I think I did.
Their baby, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And he would the Mr. Watts. He was loved children, and
Mm.
they were the best couple,
Mm.
best couple. You should have known them. They were wonderful.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
uh, they would she would give me the bath, feed me. At the end of the day, she would take me back over. So
okay.
she took me back over one day. This is a story that I've gotten from various ways. She took me back one day, and he said, Miss Watts, would you like to have this child?
Just
And she says,
outright said,
yeah.
"Here."
And
Okay.
those were the words she told me that he said to
Oh,
her.
wow.
So she says, well, I'll have to talk to Robert, which Robert was her husband,
Mhm.
about this before I can say yes.
Mhm.
So she talks to Robert, and Robert says, okay. So I lived with him until I was 23 years old.
Oh, but what year was that you when
She
she
died in 34.
okay. So that
Uh,
was this is 1934 years of living.
correct, correct. So
Ah,
uh, after I went to live with her, I don't think I saw him but twice in the next 10 years.
okay, that was gonna be one of my next questions. Did you see him anymore?
At two different Christmases, one year he sent me a little doll, which I still have somewhere,
Okay.
and the next time he sent me something, he bought me a dress.
Okay.
He didn't pick them out, but he got Emma, my sister, to pick them out
Okay.
for me.
Do
So
you
anyway,
do you feel, I mean, obviously, your life would have been a lot different
it
if
wouldn't have
you
been
hadn't.
nearly as good if I had
Yeah,
been with him. I know
yeah.
it would not.
Do you have any do you hold any hard feelings or resentment for him doing that?
For a long time, I thought about it, and I think, why would you give your little innocent girl who had never done anything away?
Mhm.
And then as I got older, I got to considering it, and I thought maybe he was smart enough to figure it out that I would have been better off without him.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Never heard him. He never said a word about it. Nothing. But that was just my later on years. I felt that was the way it was.
Yeah. And your life would have been considerably different.
Oh yeah. He did finally go to work
Mm.
after things got really bad. My older brother,
Mhm.
the one that was married, had the 2 children.
Mhm.
He got tired of him, I guess, bumming off of him. And so he came down one morning and he said, "There's a job opening for a truck driver, and you're going to apply for it."
Oh
And I
gosh.
think they were a little scared of my oldest brother. He was not one to take things. So he
Yeah.
said, "Well, I don't have a way to get there." He said, "I'll come get you." So he went down, got him on the truck driver,
Mhm.
and that was when I was 2, and he drove the truck until I was 12. And the
Okay.
reason he quit then, he had a heart attack and wrecked a truck.
Oh, your biological father did. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
sounds like the boys, your brothers, were more of parents to him than he was a parent to them.
right, right.
Yeah. And the 2 times that you did see him, like, how did you feel seeing him?
He was just a stranger to me.
Yeah, you didn't know him, right? Good point. Mhm.
I didn't know him.
Yeah.
I knew who he was. I know who they told me he was,
Mhm.
but that was all that I knew. And as I got a little older, my sister would try to have a Christmas dinner every once in a while. This was when I was a teenager, and
Okay.
she would come and get me so I would see him then. But
Mhm.
there was no conversation. He'd
Wow.
ask me how I was doing, maybe, and that was about it. No, uh, high school, nothing like that would ever came up.
Do you think he had the ability to go there with you, or do you think that was his best effort to connect with you just by even asking random questions?
I don't think I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah.
He he uh he always talked about how beautiful a little girl I was, that I was just
Mhm.
like my mother, and he'd
Mm.
say things like that, but
Mhm.
that was all that he ever said, and I never thought I was beautiful, so
Oh.
uh,
Well, was he that way before his wife passed away, before your mother passed away? Or do you think that the death of his wife was something that really kind of was the catalyst for him to be that way?
could be. He was just. It's hard for me to say because I really don't know him.
Yeah.
It's just I know you better. I know uh,
Yeah.
Bill better, and all so much better and so much more than I
Yeah.
ever even knew him. But
Right.
he he was raised by his mother and father, and they were his mother was a teacher. She taught for 40 years,
Mhm.
and she kept them going when my mother was not able to do anything. My
Okay.
mother, uh, I was telling Katie about her having a dairy. She got some cows, and
Okay.
she would go out and deliver milk in the morning, and did that until the fifth child was born, and she just couldn't do it anymore. She
I
couldn't.
mean, that's crazy.
Mhm.
9 children.
Yeah. After that, that was after the fifth one, and then she uh, fixed a place where she could take in boarders, and
Okay.
that's the way she helped to feed them.
Got it.
Mhm.
But she already had a full house. There was
Mhm.
11 of you all together.
Mhm. Mhm. And
Oh
that
my.
wasn't all. Grandma and Grandpa were there.
What?
They
So
lived there too.
13 people living in this house, and then to bring more money in for the family,
Right.
your mother would have boarders coming in.
Mhm.
That's crazy. It was a small house too, right? 1934.
It was probably 3 bedrooms and that no bathroom. Of course, we didn't have inside bathrooms until I was 12 years old.
Okay, so that's another really, like, whoa moment for me. Like, I mean, that wasn't that long ago if I think about it, or maybe I'm just thinking that I'm not as old as I am or whatever, but I
You probably never lived without a bathroom.
no,
It's
we had
bad.
bathroom and running water. Yeah.
It's
On the farm I
bad.
grew up. Yeah.
Mm, when I was 12, we had moved out of Orlando and moved out on Charlotte, and Daddy had bought 5.5 acres,
Oh,
and it was out past the city limits, and there was no water. So we
okay.
had a big, huge tank on the side of the house that would catch water for washing clothes, taking baths, and everything. And then we had water in the well that
Uh,
we pumped. And we had this little well house out right out the back, and it had a little green roof on it. It was a cute little house. You could go out there, turn for that water.
yes. Yes.
And when I was 12, Daddy decided to move back into the city of Nashville. That
Okay.
was when it was a city and a county. So
Uh-huh.
he bought a house, which I lived in through high school. Beautiful house,
Mhm.
bathroom, everything, you know.
Running water.
Oh yes, we had
Okay.
bathtubs that you could run water in.
Great. I think
We
it's like we take that stuff for granted so
oh yeah,
much.
you can't believe it.
Yeah.
It was just so much there that we didn't have then. We had
So
food, and with Daddy working for the railroad, of course, he always had a little money, so
mhm.
we had plenty of food. I had anything I wanted, just about.
Wow.
So it was things were a lot better then for me.
Yeah. Wow. I just do you I mean, I know not having running water is that's a hard thing, obviously. But if you look at the day and age we're in right now, 2023, 2024, like, would you go back to that simpler time? Or do you think that being where you are now with the advancements and all the things, are you like, "No, heck no, I ain't going back to that."
I would give up everything except the bathroom.
Okay. I agree with that. Yeah.
That's the one thing when you have used an outdoor one for all those years, and you would have to walk. We had a one way out away from the house. That was when we were living on Charlotte, and I would have to walk through where the cows were, and the cows would chase me to the
Oh,
toilet.
oh my god.
They would chase me, and uh,
It was
you just
cold. What if that in the winter? That's terrible.
it was bad.
God. No, I'm not interested.
You wouldn't
So
be.
so you lived in the country, you moved out with the Wattses, which became your parents,
Hmm.
and you lived in the country, then you moved back into town. Tell me a little bit about your school and growing up at that time. So that would have been 1944,
Well,
mid
I started
40s?
to school. I was born in 32, and went to school, started school in 38. Well, the
Okay,
first school, this is really an experience. The first school I went to was Old Richland, which
okay,
the newer Richland building's still in West Nash, but
uh-huh,
that was built much later. But anyway, the first year I went to school, it was a big clapboard type school, and there was a primary department and an upper from the third grade up in a
okay,
big building. The
yeah,
cafeteria was in the basement of that. And then the uh, classroom that I was in was primary. There were three rooms, and there were chalkboards that would raise up between the rooms to make bigger, like auditoriums or something.
okay. How
And
many
we,
kids were in your class?
oh, probably 25.
Okay.
It wasn't, well, there weren't a lot of people in that area. So
Mhm.
you'd have first grade with maybe 25 in it, and then a
Okay,
second grade, that many.
okay,
But anyway, we had to go. This is what you're going to get you.
okay.
To the bathroom was up on a hill, an outdoor bathroom, had six little seats in it. We had
Uh,
no running water at the school,
oh gosh,
and we had to go there to the bathroom, up the
that's
hill to the
awful.
bathroom. And then you had nowhere to wash your hands before lunch. We did have a water fountain out on the porch, and it probably froze up in winter because we had some bad winters. And it had you could get your water out there drinking. That was you could take your lunch or you could buy your lunch.
Okay. Wow, so interesting. They were cooking food for you, but
Yeah.
you still didn't have a place to wash your hands.
Mm-mm. No
That
inside
seems
restrooms at all.
wow, that seems backwards to me.
Well, 2.5 years I went to that, and at the
Mhm.
middle of my third grade, they had built this new school, which is down on Charlotte now. It's used for something for the Board of Education. I don't know what they use it for, but it
Okay.
was so nice when we went in at Christmas time after Christmas. Had hardwood floors,
Oh,
had
nice.
inside central type heat, uh, uh, inside bathrooms, water fountains, cafeterias, had everything in it, and it
Okay.
was just. And I stayed there. Even though we moved back into town, into the city,
Mhm.
uh, after after I was in about the 12th. 7th grade. I
Mhm.
don't remember exactly when, but I was in that school until then because I loved that school. It was really
Okay. Was that the school that you were at when you were a majorette?
no, that was a high school. That was a
Okay.
city school. That was Old Cone, which the building is still there. Pat thinks that architecture of it is great.
Okay.
It's on Park Avenue.
Okay.
It is. I went there from the 9th through the 12th,
Mhm.
and it was fantastic. That was the best years of my life. Is my high school years. By the
Oh,
way.
really? What was the best part of high school for you?
Mhm. Well, I was kind of popular.
Oh, look at you. Okay.
I was, uh,
Okay.
and I had lots of fun.
Yes. Okay.
The only thing is, we lived away from the bus, and I couldn't get out after dark without somebody walking me home because
Oh,
it was not a
not a great
too,
area.
yeah, well, it was a good area. It was just things happened around there.
Sure.
So, but anyway, I love that. My
Uh-huh.
college years were awful. I had
Oh,
to work
oh,
3
wow.
jobs to get through college.
Okay. Where did you
So
go to college?
I went to Lipscomb and then I went to MTSU.
Okay. And you went to become a teacher. So you
Right.
went you had a, background in education. You taught for how many years till you retired?
Well, in Metro Nashville 25,
Okay.
uh, I had a daycare
Mhm.
and I had that for about 25 years.
Yeah.
Um, I love working with children. So it was really something I enjoyed.
That was gonna be my question. What was it that drove you to decide, "I wanna be a teacher?" Yeah, well, I wanna be
Well,
involved with children. And what ages were your favorites?
um, I think the 2nd grade was one of my favorites. I really
Okay.
liked. Um, I don't. I think now because women have so many more openings that they can go into, I
Mhm.
even thought about being an accountant, which I liked numbers.
Wait, I
Basic.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I loved it.
You
And
like numbers?
mhm,
Oh,
mhm.
Kathleen.
When
There's
I hear Kate say she's not good at math, I think, why?
she's better at math than my older one is, but
Is she?
yeah, yeah. But
But
numbers, ooh, yeah.
they're both so much smarter than I am.
Oh, no, I
They,
don't know
they
about
are.
that one. I don't know
Yeah.
about that. So you could have been an accountant, but you chose to be a teacher,
Mhm.
and 2nd grade, you say, was
Yeah,
second,
second,
3rd
third.
grade?
Yeah.
What made it the best? What did you like so much about it that made it the best for you?
It wasn't that well, of course, they didn't have kindergartens when I started teaching.
Mhm,
Uh, so you get them out of that 1st grade baby stage, and
mhm.
they're beginning to really want to learn, and it was just a lot of fun. It really was.
Oh,
My first year of teaching, though, was in Sumner County because I was having so much trouble paying my tuition, and so they said, well, I needed another semester of school. So they said, well, we can get you a special certificate, and you can teach for 2 years on this
okay.
certificate. So that's
While you're able to go to school and finish too then.
right, right.
Okay.
So now that was Sumner County. Davidson County wouldn't allow it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I went, and they were so good. It was so nice there, and I
Nice.
really enjoyed it. And the first year, I didn't. I still had that one semester to go back in the summer.
Mhm.
But the first year, they gave me a split 3rd and 4th with
Okay.
30 something children.
Oh,
That was
wow. By
my first
yourself?
year by myself. That was the first year I taught school.
That might be a little overwhelming.
It was pretty bad, but the principal loved me. He was right
Okay.
across, his office was right across, and he said, "If you need anything, you just let me know." And he would come by and check to be sure on me every hour or so, be sure I was okay. So
Okay.
it worked out really good.
Well,
I
good,
loved it there. If it
good.
hadn't been for the money, I would have probably stayed on there, but the money was
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. But that was a job that enabled you to work while you were still attending school to finish your degree. How many women were going to college at that point and doing that? I mean, I don't if I think to that time frame, I think a lot of women went back to school after they were older, but, my where I grew up, a lot of like my grandparents, they were they were having children. They were getting married and having children and on a farm and very specific careers that were always set in stone, nothing specific
Mhm.
where they'd have to go and study for it and get a degree to be able to do it. So I'm interested to know, how was that? Like, were you kind of on the cusp of that?
Then there were people a lot older than I in the school that did not have a degree.
Okay.
Uh, and I can remember one, I won't call her name because her descendants are probably still alive,
Oh, no.
but she had she was a farm lady. I mean, she was really a farm lady,
Mm, mhm.
and she never got a degree, and
Ever.
so she retired.
Wow. So there was no, like, preface of you have to have this, but when you were in school, they had set that
Oh yeah,
parameter.
yeah, yeah. It
Okay.
was getting stronger all the time, and
Okay.
then finally, of course, before I uh, went back a little bit later, you had to have a degree,
Mhm.
and it was a great time to teach. You didn't have any troubles. I'd get outside and swing with the kids, and
Oh.
just have the more. Well, of course, I was young too,
Well, how
so
old were you when you had your first job?
I was about 23.
Okay.
So
So you
it.
were excited, and this is new for you. So,
Mhm.
yeah, pish tosh, 30 kids, 3rd and 4th grade, you can handle that.
Oh yeah,
You had that taken care of all day long.
yeah, yeah. So then I just get this bright idea that I'm going to make money and open a daycare.
Yeah.
That was
While
my.
you're teaching? Wait, while you're teaching?
Well, that was I quit teaching,
Okay.
stayed out of teaching for a while,
Okay.
and then I opened this daycare, and I won't get into that because that was, oh gosh, it was rough. 25 years of that,
Wow.
and it
Ugh,
was. But the kids said they loved it. Pat says he loved it. He
your
said that was.
children loved it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
loved it because I didn't leave them. I was there. If
Yeah,
anything came up, I could take care of it.
you're good, yeah.
So, and then
So, well, tell
I
me about,
decided I decided that I needed insurance, which I didn't have, and
okay,
I needed a retirement. So that's
okay,
I reapplied for Metro to go to work for Metro, and
I got you.
it was a hard time to get on because a lot of changes took place at that time, and if
Yeah.
I hadn't had a little political pull, I might not have gotten back on.
Oh, okay. Okay. So was that a good situation working for Metro? Because I know if I think about now, there are some teachers that will say, "Oh, you should work private schools." And some will say, "Oh, no, you should definitely work public schools and the Metro." Like, I guess everybody has their own opinion about it, but like what do you think?
I went in some difficult times.
Mhm.
Um, I was in bed one night. We were living in East Nashville,
Uh-huh.
and I heard this blast, and that's when they blew up Hattie Cotton School. It was down the road from where we lived.
Oh, are you kidding?
Blew it
What
up.
year was that? That was, what would that have
Hmm.
been? Roughly.
It was in, I would say, between the late 50s, early 60s, right in that area.
Wow.
But it blasted, and we jumped up. We were asleep and jumped up and thought, "What in the world?" And
Yeah.
then the next morning, it was on the news.
Yeah. Were you surprised that that had happened?
Yes, I really was,
Yeah.
but of course, I'm not a violent person, and it was really uh, hard for me to accept that something. And I was never prejudiced, so it didn't, integration didn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I
Let kind of go backwards just a little bit in time. I want to know a little bit about how you met your husband because well, when you're teaching, you were married at that point, correct?
Right.
Okay, so tell me how you met Carl and what year that was.
That was before I started college. I
Okay.
worked 4 years before I went to college, and
Okay. Okay.
I was working at a Dun and Bradstreet,
Uh-huh.
and he applied for a job and came in there, and so I thought I'm not going to date him. Uh, so
Okay.
then I had some turmoil in my love life, and things
Okay.
kind of I won't get into that either. But
Okay. Okay.
anyway, he asked me for a date, and I
Okay.
said I would always put him off. No, I wouldn't go. So
Yeah.
finally, one day he caught me, and I had a date with him, and then it just kind of went on from there.
The
Three
rest
years,
is
and we dated, I think. And
the rest is history.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So he had come back. He was in World War II, and he
right.
had
He
come
was
back from the
5 years
war.
older than me.
Okay. So how long had he been out of the war?
I think I started dating him in 52.
Mhm.
So he had been out since 46.
Okay. So he had some time under his belt back in the States then.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And he was still, well, up till the day he died, he had nightmares and
Mm,
fought battles. I lived through more battles than anybody you know of. He would
yeah.
he would have these I mean, he would go through the whole thing. I knew more about what happened than anybody else because he would go details into what happened.
Wait, like in his sleep? Yeah.
And I'd try to wake him up and he'd go right back off.
Wow.
He did.
Wow.
He it was in fact, it was less than 2 weeks before he died that he had one of his really bad, and he would wake up in these cold sweats
Yeah. Yeah.
and just it's really bad. It really
Yeah.
was bad. And he was 19 when he was given the battlefield commission.
See, that's the thing that I think is crazy that I don't think our population really understands and that demographic these days, that late teen, early 20s, um, kids basically don't know. I mean, your ancestors were your age. If I look at my daughter, my oldest daughter's 20, and I think of her if she was a male or if what female, whatever, and she was shipped off to fight a world war and had to grow up super fast. And like you said, he was 19 when he was commissioned on the battlefield. And the reason he was commissioned is because superiors ahead of him were killed.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And he was put in charge. This is one of the different story, but he was put in charge of the SS, and the SS were
Oh,
bad, bad. And he had some these young kids under him,
uh-huh.
and he was telling about um, one day he had to go out somewhere from, and he left, and he said this guy was he was said was a big he knew his name. He told me, and it's left me, of course, but he was a big Indian from up in North Dakota or somewhere,
Okay.
great big guy,
Okay.
and he really liked him, and he
Uh-huh.
left him in charge. And he says, "Now I'm going to got to go down here. I'll be back. Watch these guys because they are dangerous."
The
Now,
SS that like okay, so these are prisoners that they
SS,
took?
SS. They
Okay.
had a whole camp of SS guys.
Wow.
Well, they were war criminals because they were so vicious during the war. So,
Yeah.
uh, so Carl goes off, leaves this big Indian in charge with his gun and all that stuff. He comes back, and he said when he left, they were restless, they were mumbling, they were. He was expecting a riot, and that's the reason he told him to be careful when he left. He
Yeah.
said, "I'll be right back."
Yeah.
He went off, and when he came back, everybody was sitting
At attention
perfectly
and we're like,
still, like
"Oh,
they were
wow."
terrified. Now, these are SS guys who would kill you if you walk by them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, I walked up and I said, "What did you do to him?" He said, put his gun there, and he said, "I told him to sit down or be shot down." And he
Oh,
said, they pretended they didn't know English, but they knew that.
they knew. Yeah, they had clearly understood what he was talking about
Mhm,
there.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
When the war finished and concentration camps were being liberated, Karl was in the Swiss Alps, right? And
You're right.
he was going from house to house, like clearing houses
Yes.
from hold up SS that were
Yes. Yes.
still hoping to fight for Hitler, even though the war was things were done.
That's right.
I do know of one story that he told Pat, that Pat shared with me, and I just I can't imagine being 19, 20 years old, going through a house, and there's a German soldier sitting there faking being dead, and he turns and he hears his gun being
But
cocked. Yeah, click. And either it misfired or there wasn't a bullet, and he was ready to kill him. Like,
I
not
think he shot him.
okay.
I think he did.
Yeah.
And he always the rest of his life, he said, the only one I ever regretted shooting was that. And he said he was just a kid like me.
Oh,
And he said,
wow.
I think I look back on it now, and I didn't think so then, but he said, I look back on it now, and I think he was going to put his arms up and surrender. And that's the way he died, thinking that. He always felt that way.
Really? But
Mhm.
he didn't necessarily know that, though.
No, no, he had the gun. He'd heard the gun click.
Yeah, I mean, the German officer was faking being
Mhm,
dead, slumped over, and
mhm.
he had cocked his gun and he was ready to shoot Carl.
Right.
Yeah. I can't imagine that's I would go back to the same thing about, like, kids nowadays, 19, 20, 21 years old, being put in that situation. And then the thing now, though, different, I think, than when that was all going on in the 50s, late 40s, 50s, is we are addressing PTSD so much differently. But
Mhm.
you used to say they didn't have any way for them to decompress other than getting on the ship and riding the how many days back to the United States. That was their decompression.
Right. And they got back in this country, and they had the GI Bill, but I mean, what good was that doing them? They didn't have jobs to
Yeah.
pay the house notes and all those things, so really wasn't that much. They did get some school, and Carl got,
Mhm.
I think, most of his bachelor's degree under the GI Bill, and then it played out.
Okay.
And he wasn't like me. He wasn't willing to go out and scrub floors to make the money.
I Well,
Uh,
you were working at that point too, right?
uh,
Well, you hadn't met him yet.
I
Is
didn't
that
meet
right?
him till 52,
Yeah.
53, somewhere
Yeah.
in there. He came, this is another story, I don't know whether you heard or not, but when he came home, he ran into another guy he had known before the
Mhm.
war.
Mhm.
And they both had their money that you got busting out pay or whatever it was, and they had
Okay.
put it together, and they had maybe $1,000 or something. And they
Okay.
got together and got in their car and went down to Florida and found a shack on the beach.
Okay.
And they rented this shack and lived there until they had enough money to buy a meal on the way home and get enough gas to get back to the house. And he said that was the best, unwinding time
Yeah.
that he had.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
That would be kind of that decompression point for
It
him.
was. It helped some, but he
Mhm.
never. I mean, he had that. I- He had PTSD till the day he died.
Yeah.
It did, and I did too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Did you ever suggest to him that, "Hey, maybe we get some help with this?" Or was he just it was that
oh, you
nip
didn't
Oh!
suggest that to him.
Oh,
No,
no.
no,
Oh,
no.
no.
Mm-mm,
No. So he felt like he was okay.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, they
Man.
can't do anything for me. That's the
That's what
type.
he would say.
Yeah, they can't do anything for me.
Do you think he was just living with a lot of that guilt of having to see and do the things that he had to do that he wouldn't share with anybody other than him fighting it out in his sleep where you heard?
I think so.
Yeah.
He, I mean, if you had ever, I don't know whether Pat ever heard. I know he heard some of those dreams,
Mhm.
and they were really, really bad. They were
Yeah,
really bad.
man. So, once things stabilized, you guys dated, you decided, "He's the one. We're gonna get married. We're gonna start a family." Tell me a little bit about that because you have 3 children, 2 of which
Hmm.
are adopted and 1 of which is biological.
Hmm.
So, what was the choice to adopt? Because that's what you went with first.
Uh, we had been, well, we've been married 5 or 6 years,
Mhm.
and so one day he came. We had discussed it that
Okay.
maybe we would adopt. And so one day he comes in from church and he said, um, you know, today they say that they have some children down at St. Peter's, and I wonder if you'd be interested in me checking into it. I said, I would love for you to. So,
Okay.
so he checked into it, and
Uh-huh.
we started the process, and it took us about 9 months, I think.
Okay.
And so that was something else too. We when everything was approved, uh, they said, "Well, we have to wait. We wanted a girl first, and then the boy."
Okay.
So uh, we said we'd like to have this a little girl. So they
Uh-huh.
call us up one day out of the blue and said, "If you can be in Memphis in the morning, we have this little girl that will be perfect for you."
Oh gosh.
In the morning, I had nothing because they had not even given me any warning or anything.
Yeah, you
Carl
weren't
was
prepared.
Carl was he was in I don't know whether he'd started law school. I think he'd started
Mhm.
law school, and uh, they said I told him, and he said, I've got exams. I can't go in the morning.
Yeah.
I said, well, he said, I'll fly down, and you meet me at the airport, and we will go. I forgot what time our appointment was, and so
Okay.
that's what we did. He flew down. Mama drove down with me, and
Okay.
so I wouldn't be by myself. And
Okay.
we got there. Well, things didn't go well.
Oh no.
We got there, and they say, well, everything is okay except one thing. She hasn't been baptized, and she can't leave until she is.
Oh, because this was Catholic Charities. This is a big deal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This was a
Okay.
Catholic orphanage where they kept the children.
Okay.
So
That was the sticking point. They wouldn't let you take her?
not out. So they
Okay.
said, well, wait till father gets back from the golf course.
Right.
And when he gets
Okay. We
back,
just turned our lives upside down, but that's
oh,
okay.
yeah,
We'll wait till
yeah,
he gets done with his
yeah.
round of golf. Yeah.
When he gets back, well, it was 9 o'clock that night before he
Oh,
got back from the golf course.
oh wow.
And he had these 6 little babies all lined up there for baptisms.
Mm,
And um, so we all stay there. Of course, Carl has to go back to take exams the next morning.
wow.
So we stayed there until it was all over with. We got home way up in the morning,
Uh-huh.
had nothing. We get a drawer out of the chest, put a pillow in it because we didn't even have the beds.
Oh, how old was she? She was a baby.
Oh, yeah, yeah. 9 pounds.
Oh, wow. Like
Yeah,
newborn baby.
yeah. She was just a few weeks old.
Wow. You had
So,
and this is not the day and age of microwaves or disposable diapers either, by the way.
oh, no, no, no.
No.
And you had, oh man, those diapers then, you had to wash them.
Yeah. Yes.
But anyway, we got her home. Everything was fine.
Okay.
And then we put in for a boy.
Uh-huh.
And then Kevin was, he was 2 months old when we went to
Okay.
get him. But he cried all the way home. He threw up in the restaurant. He had trouble
Oh,
with his stomach
no. Oh,
all of his life. And
yeah.
so anyway, then I was going along pretty good, and one day I got sick, and I was sick in my stomach and
Mhm.
throwing up, and
But
that's
hold on, because didn't you have a hysterectomy before all
that was
that?
after Pat was
Okay.
born. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you were not feeling well, super
One,
sick.
yeah. So I go to the doctor, and I
Okay.
tell the doctor, and he said, "Well, let me make some tests." And so he told me, and I said, "Nah, it couldn't be. I'm not pregnant." "Yeah, yeah, you are." And I said,
Okay.
my husband will never believe it. He said, "Well, tell him in about less than 9 months, when he's up at night and when he's trying to feed him, you'll find out."
You'll believe it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Did you not want to have necessarily a biological child? Were you more interested in giving a home to adopted kids?
Well, I thought it would be great to have one.
Yeah.
So uh, just one more is not going to make any difference.
No?
Three's three's better than two.
Yes.
So it all worked out great, except I
Wow.
nearly died. I nearly died.
Yeah.
Uh,
Giving birth to him. Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Actually, I died, I think. They said I was dead. I could hear this noise in the back.
Wait, hold on. Like you could like during the process, you had you felt yourself out of your body.
Oh, yeah, I thought I knew I was dying, and I could hear him saying, "She's dying. She's going. She's going. She's going," and
Wow.
you can hear every word that they say.
Yeah.
And I thought, "Oh, this is so. I'll never be scared to die because this is so peaceful."
Really?
Mhm. It
And
was.
that happened in a snap of a finger? It was
Mhm.
fast. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. What did you feel so when you're in that peaceful because I just think that's so intriguing that you can hear everything that's going on, but you're in a completely elevated different space.
Mhm.
So when you were kind of pulled back into your body, basically, I mean, do you remember do you remember feeling that density going back into it? Do you?
I do. I do. I remember it, and it was just the strangest thing. As I said, it was. You're never scared to die after that.
Yeah. Wow,
When
that's
you're
really a
young, you don't when you're young, you're scared to die,
yeah.
after
But
that,
that's really a gift, isn't it? Like,
it
that's
is,
really
it was fantastic thing because I had never felt anything that calming. I mean,
yeah,
you're going, and you
yeah,
could hear them saying, she's going," and
yeah,
it didn't bother you in the least,
yeah.
you know?
So, do you think that you still being here, kicking and living their life and just being so full of life right now at 91 years young could be attributed to that experience? And the fact that you don't have that fear, you kinda have that open freedom and you understand that it's okay. There's not that gripping fear of what's gonna happen, how's it gonna happen, what's gonna go down, how's it all gonna be.
It could be. You
Yeah,
just don't know. It was, as I said, it was the most relaxed. And I had no idea I was dying, but I
yeah,
could hear them saying it.
yeah.
And they never let up on their talking. They talk the whole time because it's working.
Wow.
But it's a weird thing. It
Yeah.
really is.
Gosh, okay, so fast forward through that process, you heal, right? Um, you have 3 children under the age of, let's see, 4 or 5?
They were 2 years apart.
Okay. So Pat's a baby. Then you got Kevin, we're going to say is roughly 2, 2.5. Katie's 4, 4.5.
Mhm.
And you have no microwave. You have
I didn't
disposable
even have a
diapers.
washing machine because we lived on a place that had septic tanks and you couldn't put the water in the septic tank. So I had to take the clothes and the diapers to the wishy-washy.
To the wait, to the what's the wishy-washy?
Oh, you don't know what a wishy-washy is?
You mean are you talking the laundromat?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought the wishy-washy was like the name of a place. Okay. The wishy-washy. Okay.
That's what we called it in my day.
Okay. The wishy-washy. I learned something new today.
I'll tell you my lifesaver for this.
Okay.
We had the daycare,
Uh-huh.
and there were some older girls who had little brothers and sisters that came to the daycare. And one of them, one day, one of them's mother asked me, said, "Could you give her a little bit and let her work along
Mhm.
and look after the children?" Well, I kept them till Patsy got married at about 23, and she lived with us till she got married.
Okay. So she stayed around. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
She was about 12, and she had a little brother there that was 3, and then she had a sister in between.
Yeah.
And Katie remembers Patsy. She died real young, but anyway, she was a great with the kids,
Yeah.
and if it had been for her, I could have never made it probably
Yeah.
because
That
she
was
was
gonna be my
so.
next question. That balancing everything with the 3 kids and the daycare at that point, correct? And then Carl is still in school or just finished up school, or is he trying to start a new career? You got a lot going
Yeah,
on.
he finished school, and then he went to work for a couple of years for a an insurance company. Best
Okay.
job he ever had.
Yeah.
And one day he had a settlement on something, and he said, I think I would like to try practicing law, which was a big mistake because
Okay.
he was not self motivated.
Okay.
He and the guys that were attorneys there in Donaldson, they would say, "Come on, let's go down and have coffee." Well, they'd leave at 9 o'clock in the morning and come back after lunch.
Oh, so yeah. Yeah.
Sitting down, drinking coffee and talking and
Yeah.
running, and um, it was not good. That was not good.
Yeah.
But
But
anyway,
you had Patsy there helping you with the kids too.
I did, and we would take when we would go to Florida.
Uh-huh.
We would take Patsy and Brenda, which was her friend. She had a little brother there too,
Mhm.
and we'd take them both to Florida with us, and
Yeah.
we would rotate. Uh, you had 2 hours on and 2 hours off, three
Okay.
of us, and then Carl was the fourth one, so we had 4 hours. And we rotated it, and that way we could have a time at the beach.
Yeah. You have some time personally.
Right, right.
That's a great idea.
It was wonderful that I had them. I
Yeah.
really, really was.
Oh, that's great. Flashing forward after all of that, your kids are growing up and then they're graduating and they're moving on to start their own families and go their own way. I, you've had some health issues that I think are pretty big
Hmm.
and that you've overcome. And one of them being uh, colon cancer, breast cancer, um, congestive heart failure. You were diagnosed with congestive heart failure like 20 years ago.
Still got it.
And you're still here. And I'm
I am.
telling you, I'm going to go back to because I think you had a really interesting point when you were talking about feeling coming out of your body in that peaceful space and not being afraid of if I die. I really think that gives some space in your headway basically to be like, I, I'm good. You're living from a place that's not scared. You're living from a place
Right,
of open and freedom.
right.
Yeah.
Uh, well, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sorry. It
So we
was
were
something like,
talking.
oh, I know what it was. One
Okay.
of the things that I say to people now when they say, you're 91 years old, I say, yeah, what's left of me? I've had so much removed. There's not much
Yeah.
left.
Yeah.
That's true because, of course, I had heart surgery.
Mhm.
I had all kinds of stuff, and it's just, I feel great today.
Yeah.
I may not feel great tomorrow, but I feel great today.
But you're taking it day by day, which is
Right,
which is really what we're supposed to be doing anyway.
right.
Of all of those health issues that you went through, which do you think was the hardest one for you personally?
Mm, I think probably the heart surgery.
Okay.
Um, because when I came out, I came home and this knot, big as an apple, came up under my arm.
Oh, okay.
And I had to go back, and they had to go back in. And
Mm.
he said, "Oh, this happens once in a while." And I thought, "Yeah, it does."
Ah,
And he went in there, and I don't know what he did. It was like another heart surgery.
wow.
And but
So, through any of those situations, because I know you also had COVID when you were hospitalized with COVID,
I
and
don't remember much of that.
yeah.
Uh, I was in Florida
Mhm.
with Marsha and Don, and we started back. We stopped at in Montgomery
Mhm.
at a Lowe's, and they went back and left me standing there. And they came back, and there were these three little black girls, teenage girls,
Uh-huh.
holding me up to keep me from hitting the floor.
Oh my.
And they said that when they got there, they were. I know the girls called it for me. After that, I'm sure they did. Bless their hearts. And
Oh.
but I don't remember much more. They brought me home, brought me in, and I went in the apartment. I was living in the apartments,
Mhm.
and I don't remember much about it. But uh, the next thing, I was unconscious for weeks,
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And when I woke up, they told me what I'd been through, and but my mind, it's the funniest thing. When you're unconscious, your brain just all these memories go through your brain, and my brain, it was just like racing through your
Okay.
brain.
Like, memories, like, of your life? and things that you've experienced?
Some of
Wow.
the
Okay.
things I've told you.
Okay. So is it like you're re-experiencing them again? Or is it just like you're thinking it through? Or is it hard to explain, I guess maybe?
It is, but I'll tell you one thing that came up.
Okay.
When Katie graduated from high school, she and I went to New York with
Okay.
this group from the school where I was.
Yeah.
And I took her there and we went. The woman that was in charge, she took charge of everything. So
Uh-huh.
when we were at this Greek restaurant, and these a little Greek, cute little Greek guy, he kept flirting with Katie. She was 18, and
Okay.
he was flirting with her, talking to her, and everything. And then uh, most everybody drinks, but I don't drink. I don't care
Mhm.
for water. But they bought this bottle of wine.
Okay.
Everybody had to pitch in on the bottle of wine.
Okay.
Well, I had a little bit of wine in a glass, and I took a little sip. Now, it was okay. I just don't
Yeah.
care for it.
Yeah.
So, this girl that was in charge, she says, "Well, if you're not going to drink that wine, I'm going to drink it." I said, "Just leave it alone. I'll drink it, maybe."
Okay.
In a few minutes, she picked up my wine glass and down.
Just okay.
Then she says, "Well, I will handle the money."
Okay. Okay.
That wasn't good either.
Oh
She
no.
took the money, paid the bill, and kept the tip money that we had all put in.
No.
She did.
So this is all happening.
On
You're
our
replaying all of these
in through
things
my brain, yeah,
in
yeah.
your brain as you're unconscious.
So when I woke up, it all came to me. I had been
Yeah.
dreaming all that, Uh,
Wow.
the but anyway, what brought what was so funny about it was that uh, this big Greek, good-looking Greek kid
Uh-huh.
running after our cab, and he said, "Not enough, not enough."
Chasing you. He's like, "I want my money. Give me my
And
money."
and if you think about that, I relived it word for word, every bit.
Wow.
And it was just like, well, not the only thing, but that stayed with me. I had to tell Katie about it when I came conscious again.
You're like, "Would you believe where I was? Would you
I
believe
was
what I
back in New
relived?"
York.
Oh, how funny. When you told her that, what was she like, "Really?"
That's her. She remembered the story too when I
Yeah,
told
no,
her
I'm
about it.
sure. I don't think you would forget that one very
No,
easily. No.
no, not the big long legs coming after our cab down the street.
No, not at all. So
Mm-mm.
through all of that, do you think that the COVID was the hardest part for you? Or you said the heart surgery was the hardest part? Because
I don't remember the COVID. That's the thing.
okay.
I
Yeah.
know I was sick. Um, I woke up once enough that I thought, what's happening, but I
Mhm.
didn't know. I had been unconscious so long.
Mm, mhm.
And it was just, I just didn't know.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, should have died, I guess.
Mm,
I know so many people had died that I knew.
yeah.
But,
What did the doctors say after that? Were they saying that I mean, did they give you any inkling that they weren't sure you were gonna make it? Or
oh, no, I don't think they knew I was going to make it. I don't think they thought I was, actually.
really?
But nobody could come around, so nobody really got any information, and I didn't get anything.
Yeah.
If I hadn't woke up and come out, I bet I'd have just died on out, I guess.
Wow.
That
Gosh.
was bad. That was bad.
Yeah. And that was within the last couple of years, yeah. Do
Hmm.
you feel different since you've had that? Do you
Hmm.
feel like yourself? Because I know
Yeah,
I've talked to a lot of people that have been like, "COVID completely changed this about me."
didn't change a thing about me.
Okay. Okay.
I came once I got it. Now it took me nearly a year though to get over it. It took me
Mm.
that
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
But after I got over it, I feel like just like I did 20 years
Before.
ago.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Um, if you look at your life in a nutshell, who would you say is the most influential person that's been in your life up to this point?
I think the Wattses were.
Okay.
They were. They they gave me my moral support,
Mm. Yeah.
ingrained it into me. So
Yeah.
so, and then their oldest daughter, Robbie, which I was telling Katie about her tonight.
Uh-huh.
She was. She died the day that Amanda was born,
Okay. Yeah.
and she had been there for me all
Mm.
those years. She's the one that gave me the spending money if I would dust or if I do little things, and
Oh,
take me with her. She was on. I was on my way to her house the night the gun battle. Um, it was just she was just really a special person. She
yeah.
really was.
It's like almost like a second mother.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So do you feel like, I mean, listening to you talk about that, I think there's a piece I would feel like there's of gratitude inside of you for these people that have watched out for you and taken care of
Oh,
you.
you can't imagine. You can't
Yeah.
imagine. It's just every day I say I'm the luckiest person in the world, and thank you for giving me the life you gave me.
Wow. Oh, I love that. Yeah. It's probably another piece of why you're still living such a good life at 91 years old.
And they did. They had Daddy would fix the little gardens. We had
Mhm.
gardens. We had food that was. Pat says the food that's not been through all the processing.
Yeah, like real food you had.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. And
Yeah.
she would cook when I was younger. Now, as Mama got older, she didn't cook as much, but she
Mhm.
would cook a meal every day. We'd have a meat and two vegetables or three vegetables and
Oh,
all those good things. And she was a
yeah,
great cook. Robbie was a fantastic cook. And I just had good food all those lives. I think that's what's built me as strong as I have been.
yeah,
But I never thought I'd live to be this old. I
yeah.
never, ever thought I would be.
Well, I think to what you said, I think it's a testament to all of the good things, the food and the living a little bit more of a simpler life than we are living in now. But I really go back to listening to you kind of as a whole that you're not afraid of it. And you know something about your family is you've always been very open about speaking about death
Mhm.
and the cycle of life because I think that was something when I joined this family that I had never we didn't talk about in my family when I was growing up. So it was like, "Oh, okay, we're having this conversation."
Mhm.
Okay. But it makes so much sense if it's something that is very matter of fact and you just understand it doesn't make it good or bad, it just makes it what it is.
Right.
Yeah. So you're not attaching, like, expectations to, "Oh, I'm gonna be scared to death of this," or, yeah,
And I've
anything
known
kind of
people that were that way, but
yeah.
I'm not. But another thing, and I have to give Zolly, which Zolly is my biological father.
Okay. Yeah.
Zolly, I have to give him this credit. If he made money today, he would go out and buy a bushel of cabbage
Okay.
and bring this bushel of cabbage home to feed all these kids.
Mhm.
And they said the Watches said when they took me that they used to laugh and point to my stomach and ask me what that was, and I would say it was cabbage.
In your stomach, because that's
And
all you
I've
ever
always
had.
felt like that maybe it made me stronger too by having that cabbage, which is a healthy food.
Yeah.
As a very, very young, I may not have had milk, but I had cabbage.
Yeah. But you had real food. I guess that's the biggest thing. You had real
Right,
food. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Um, if you could change one thing about your life to this point, what do you think it would be?
The only thing that I would really like, I would love to have had more time with my children
Mm,
and not working.
okay. Yeah.
I took as much. We would take off every year, go on a vacation, took the kids. We spent as much time as we could working like we did,
Yeah.
but I would love to have had more time with them.
Yeah, I get that. But you're here you're living with your daughter right now,
Yeah,
which is amazing. So you're getting that time.
right.
Yeah.
And they are great to me. They really are.
Oh,
And Bill, he's so good. He gets up and fixes my coffee for me and gets my bowl for my cereal. And
oh,
I mean, he really does. And Katie does wake up. I'm not saying that, but I do give him credit because he gets up and really looks out. And today, he had some workers here, and when he came in for lunch, he had brought me a barbecue sandwich. He knows how I love
and
barbecue.
you're like, "Oh, I love the barbecue. Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes."
So I'm not saying you're not this great, sitting over there with your needle. I just want you to know that he is that great. She
I
says it.
want you to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. What do you think is the biggest blessing in your life up to this point so far? If you had to name one.
My children.
Oh, oh, that's great.
Yes. Yes.
Hands
Wouldn't
down.
wouldn't take anything for 'em. Love them all to pieces. And
Yeah.
the grandchildren and the great grandchildren and all. I love them all.
Yeah.
Uh,
Your family. Yeah.
yes. Yes.
Oh, I love
That's
that. What has been the best year of your life that you look back and go, bam, that's the year? Or best age of your life, even?
maybe this is a little selfish,
Okay. Go for it.
but I think when I was able to travel
Yeah.
and I was didn't have anything pressing on me or pushing me, that I really in those were years that I was able to really enjoy. And the
Yeah.
kids, instead of saying, "Mom, you're spending money that we could use,"
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
always said, "Go for it and enjoy
But yeah.
yourself."
Yes.
They've been that
Yeah.
way. So
Yeah. You've been on multiple trips.
I
You've seen
did.
so many places.
I did. I think, well, I loved Hawaii, but I
Okay.
loved the Canadian Rockies. That was
Okay.
one of the most fantastic trips. I went out on the North Atlantic whale watching.
Yes.
Uh, that was good, but it was nothing like the Canadian Rockies. They are so fantastic.
You started out as a 2-year-old sitting in a street playing with rocks to going to Hawaii and being able to see the Canadian Rockies. I mean, like, what a full circle moment, right?
Right.
That's
Well,
amazing.
uh, I, uh, I look at it and I think I am so lucky.
Mhm.
I've worked hard,
Mhm.
worked
Absolutely.
really hard,
Yes, yes.
uh, and maybe I shouldn't have spent the money, but
Oh,
you
yeah,
know, I had some sad times in my life too,
yeah, yeah,
and uh, I don't begrudge myself for
yeah.
that.
And I don't think there's anything selfish about appreciating the fruits of your labor because no one walked in your shoes except for you. No one else, other people can look at you doing what you're doing and can have their opinions and their judgments and all their things. But until they have been in your shoes, in that specific experience, they have no clue. Yeah,
Right.
no
Well,
idea.
I when I was a little girl, Daddy working for the railroad, Mama would take me on trips, and she was the one that got me hooked on traveling.
Okay.
And she took me to Virginia and on the train, and we took our lunch. We couldn't spend in the dining room, but
Yeah.
we could, and went up, and then she took me out to in with in Kansas, and
Mhm.
some went visiting out there, and lots of things that they introduced me to
Yeah.
that it got me, I think, well balanced,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they were so good to me, and everybody has always just look, my kids
Yeah.
good to me,
Yeah.
and then I went over. I think when I really appreciated so much, when I went over to Harmony and lived over there,
Okay.
and I would see people who kids would take them over and dump them and not
Oh,
come
like
back.
this is a retired community.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is just last year,
Yeah.
and I think the kids don't even they pay the bills. Maybe I don't know what,
Yeah.
but they don't come and see them, check on them,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think mine were always checking on me.
Yeah.
You know, even the grandchildren.
Grandchildren, yeah, grandchildren would come and spend time with you
Yes,
all the
yeah,
time.
they
Yeah.
would, they would,
Yeah.
and just I mean I just feel so fortunate. I
Yeah.
just feel so fortunate.
Yeah. Well, you've sown some really good seeds.
I hope so. I
Yeah.
think I
No,
did.
I believe so. Yeah. So I have some fun questions that I kind of want to round out our talk with, and I call these rapid fire questions. So I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. And it's
Mm,
just to kind of bring another side of your personality out because I think it's going to be fun to hear some of these answers that you're going to give. Okay, are you ready?
don't make it too hard.
Oh, no, not at all. Your son helped with it. Your son and one of your granddaughters helped with these. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we're all good. All right. Number one, what was your favorite car?
My favorite car, my
Uh-huh.
first car, my old
Okay.
beat up 49 Ford that I struggled to pay for. And the, after Carl and I would have a big discussion over a car, I would always think of that Ford, and it was a wreck. It was
Oh,
a
good.
wreck, but I loved it. And I saw one, and Carl built me a model, and it's somewhere around it. Laura may have it. She had it
Mhm.
one time. It's a little model of mine was blue, and
Oh,
and the thing is, Carl would buy a car and he would put his name on it, and he wouldn't put
okay.
mine on there. Well, I would get very upset. So finally, he got to where he would put my name on there too. I
On the
said, "I paid
title.
for it. Why not put my name on it?"
Well, for sure. Yeah, you should be on there too. Absolutely.
Right.
Okay, question number 2. Who was or who is your favorite musical artist?
Oh, they're all dead.
Well, who was? Who
I
was your favorite?
liked Dean Martin. He was one of my
Okay.
favorites.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite.
Is it any specific song that stands out that you liked more than another? Or just all of his
Anything
stuff?
he sang was good.
Yeah. He was smooth.
Oh, he was. He was.
So
And
smooth.
so good looking.
Yes. Smooth
And
in all the ways.
and I'm maybe 90 years old, as I said the other day, but I still have an eye for a good looking man.
That is perfect. Yes. Okay, question number 3. This might be a little more you have to dig back into the archives. If you were stranded on a desert island, what 3 things could you not do without?
Cover, water.
Okay, so you're going very basic standard stuff. I'll tell you what I was thinking, but go ahead. What's your 3rd one?
Not that. Oh, and something sweet.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, more like that. I was thinking you were gonna say coffee,
Oh, well,
something
that
sweet.
that too. That too. I can't live without coffee. You know
You know
that.
what I think is the funniest thing? When you would stay with us some, and you would ask me to pour you a cup of coffee, and I'm like, "Do you want something in it?" Because like we use stevia, we use almond milk, we use creamer, and you're like, "Nope, just black."
I
You,
like it.
what the? Like,
I
how do you
like the
do that?
taste of it.
Oh,
No sugar. But the
just
way
plain old.
I had something that got to me to that point. When I
Okay,
first started drinking coffee to stay up all night and study, which I'm not, as I told you, I'm not the smartest. I had to study,
okay,
uh, and I would stay up all night drinking coffee. And I started out with sugar
okay,
and cream, and then I got to the point I thought, well, why do I need that sugar? You know,
okay.
so I dropped the sugar and just the cream, and then I went for maybe a year or two with coffee and cream, and then I thought I like the taste of that coffee, so I drink the coffee black.
Oh, Kathleen, I can safely say that at 50 years old, when I started drinking coffee, I have probably added more sugar and creamer as I've aged instead of taking it away.
I look at
Oh,
Katie. Katie gets this cream, and Laura gets this cream, and all this stuff. And I thought, well, you don't actually taste the coffee
the
when you get all
coffee.
that stuff.
So, yeah, you appreciate the greater sense of the foods and the drinks. And I guess that makes sense. Like,
Hmm.
from
Hmm.
eating that garden food when you were little.
Hmm. And I like the taste of vegetables. I don't
Mhm.
use pepper. I don't use a lot of spices. Very little salt. If I
Yeah.
even put salt on anything when I cook, I don't put salt on cook when I
Yeah,
cook.
I know, right?
Uh, and I just like the taste of the food.
Well, that's great. It's much healthier for you anyway. There you go.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, number 4. Choose one or the other, dogs or cats. Which one do you like more?
I can't stand cats.
Okay.
That's very clear. I like dogs.
Okay.
Uh, and
What what's what's the hang up
Katie,
with cats?
I don't know. It's something about their sneaky like to me.
Okay. Okay.
But Katie said the other day, she said, Laura, somebody had this dog
Uh-huh.
and asked me, they were talking about it. And I said, do I have a vote?
Oh, to get
And
a dog or a cat?
whether they brought the dog into here or not. And
Oh, see the house.
I
Okay.
said, well, if I have a vote, my vote is
Down. No, no, really? Oh, are you sure?
they're a
I
lot of
see.
trouble. That's the trouble.
Okay. But I could see you with a
Now,
cute
I
little,
love the dogs. I do love dogs, but they are a lot of trouble.
but you're just at a point where you're like, I don't need something else to take care of. You took care of so many children as a teacher and as a mom and all the things. So yeah, yeah. You deserve to be free of
I
free of
love being
all
free.
that.
You know what? I go back there in that back room
Uh-huh.
and I get my books and I get my word finds and and I haven't got my records yet, but I've got my records over in the thing that I'm going to get here.
Okay.
And I love my music and I
Yeah.
love reading and I like doing puzzles
Yes.
and that so and I mean if you had a dog it would be up licking your face,
It'd be right in the middle of all of your stuff. You
interrupting.
you do have a point there. I will give you
Yes.
that. Yeah. All right, last question. What is the best advice that you have ever received?
Ooh, that's a hard
Yeah.
one. Maybe honesty
Okay. Yeah.
might be one of the best ones. I've always tried to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, uh, that's probably my best.
Yeah. Being honest is a morally it's just it gives you you're very straightforward. It's just this
Mhm.
is what it is and it's who you are, it's what you believe, it's where you stand. Yeah.
Right.
I don't think there's a lot of people that are feel free to be that honest self that they could be.
Hmm.
Do you feel like you've always been that person?
Very honest. Yes. Since I'm a little girl,
Okay.
I think I was.
Yeah. So
And
that's kind of innate.
I think that's what the Watts has instilled in me at a very
Mm,
young age.
okay.
I think, and that's probably the reason I'm that way.
Yeah, being honest. Well,
Hmm.
being honest with you right now, I have enjoyed the last hour and a half with you and talking to you. This has been great. I really, really value this time. I think it's amazing for you to share so much of yourself personally, and I just am. I'm just I'm very thankful for you being open and honest with your life and everything that you've gone through, and being able to share it in such a vulnerable way. So, thank you for that.
You're welcome. I
Ah.
enjoyed it.
Well, great. Well, I want you to get a good night's sleep so you can get up in the morning and drink that crazy black coffee.
Well, last night I don't usually sleep good. Last night
Okay.
went to bed and slept 10 hours.
What? It's
10 hours.
unusual.
And I got up this morning and I felt, oh, I don't feel like
You're like, I
I
want to
want to
stay right
sleep
here.
some more.
Okay. There's a fine line there. What's too much or what's enough? Yeah.
It is. It really is. But I felt good the rest of the day once I got up
Well,
and
good.
got my barbecue sandwich.
It's been a good day.
Yes, it has. It's been great.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kathleen. I look forward to seeing you at our next little family get together. And Kate will make a chocolate pie for us all. And we'll have some good stuff and we'll do it
She
upright.
she is she's doing a great job with it. I mean, she does.
She learned from the best.
She did such a great job.
You're sweet. You're sweet. She learned from the best, as did all the family. So thank
Thank
you
you.
for that. All right.
Okay.
Get
Bye
you some good sleep.
bye. Okay.
All righty. Bye bye.
Bye.